What happens when you purify your body, your mind, your spirit? Something miraculous. The body begins to heal itself. Welcome to the Medicine Girl podcast, where each week we explore new ways to heal your body from the root, igniting your inner healer. You are the medicine. And now, here's your host, Robin Stebbins.
Welcome, Josh, to the Medicine Girl podcast. I am just meeting you for the first time. I've been on your Insta and kind of got your vibe. I really like that you're into health, wellness. I have a 16-year-old son, as my audience knows, because I talk about him all the time, but he's really into bodybuilding.
Nice.
And I had no concept of what goes into that to get, into this type of wellness. So my hat's off to you. I really am impressed with you and everything that you stand for. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to the audience and telling us just a little bit about who you are and what you stand for.
So, I'm Josh Parish. I've been in the health and fitness world for 20-ish years now. Taught many different styles of training, and most recently, I started out in the athletic bodybuilding world, then more dipped off into wellness and the paleo and mobility scene right as it was getting going like 10, 12 years ago, and then dropped it cold turkey. And I stayed with the studies and whatnot, but went into sales and studied the sales game, had an insurance agency for a while, and now I'm selling real estate. And I know that my calling is to go back into the coaching game. So currently I just build my presence online. And the other day you commented on my Cool Whip video, and I totally understand where you're coming from, because so last night I ate the Cool Whip and I'm laying in bed and I'm like, I really don't feel that great. And Cool Whip is totally toxic. Yes. The thing about it is, though, and the reason why I'm putting out the kind of content that I'm putting out, one, it's entertaining, but at the same time, there's so many people that are just out of shape, haven't even thought about working out, eating the McDonald's and just junk. So if we can start them out incrementally on the right path, maybe losing some body fat, they're making some better for you choices instead of eating the very dense junk food. Maybe they're eating a little bit less dense junk food, and then we dip them off into lesser chemicals, and then we go into measuring those whole foods. And then, so it's just I'm taking people in steps, because it doesn't matter how good the program is. If people don't stick with it, it doesn't matter. So It's just meeting people where they are. And that's what I've learned in sales is, when I first started out training folks, I'm like, hop on this program, and yes, we're going to customize it, but you're all in. Like, you're all in now. And these people maybe they weren't all in. They were motivated, but they didn't know what it meant to be all in. So I'm just trying to, in this new wave, I'm rationing it out to people, and when they're ready for the next level, then they get to the next level instead of just making them drink from the fire hose.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's kind of why I really wanted to interview you, because I've been in healthcare for 35 years. So I take care of the Cool Whip folks that those are the folks, like, they don't really understand the concept. They'll look at it and they'll say, go through the nutrition label. So my approach has been, leave no man behind, no man or woman behind that truly wants to heal, truly wants to change. But what I have found in that 35 years is about 1% to maybe 10% actually want to dive in there and do something. Because like you said, when you fire hose them, they're just going to shut down anyway, and they're not going to do anything. So it's like, let's just open the door just a crack so that you can see, hey, we can do a step down basis, because if they're already chemicalized anyway, but in the, in that, like, okay, you can have the Cool Whip, but let's understand what it is. So I'll always say, okay, tell me your poisons. Tell me what you love to eat, your junk food. So if it's Cool Whip, then I say, well, could you get the grass-fed cream, heavy cream, and just whip it for, a few minutes before? And sometimes they'll shut down, not even want to do that. It has to be already made. Like,
Yeah.
thought of actually getting
Well,
some.
We're a nation of convenience.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. There's very, very few people that are ready to dive in. And change is one of the scariest things for people, leaving the old ways, because one, if they're ready for change, still that next version of themselves, it's scary because the path is not mapped out, and people would rather be in a bad situation and sick, knowing what's going to happen, coming in the next day, like this is just everyday life, this is how it is, than to embrace that unknown. Because the unknown and change, it's terrifying for folks. And and that's just in this new wave. It's just very, very small wins that are getting people comfortable, and people are addicted to these chemicals. That's what the food companies have done, is everything's super sweet, and these chemicals, the dyes make people go crazy.
Yeah. You're right too. And let's put an emphasis on that. They don't put anything on the shelf that they haven't figured out the bliss point. They showed a movie about the sugar industry, but they didn't show it here. I was living in Bellingham, Washington at the time, so I had to see it in Canada. And I think they showed it in Australia, but they banned it here because they don't want people waking up to their industry. So their industry is, they figure out what the bliss point is for any product, so that it's not too sweet, too salty, but it creates that craving and addiction. And that was, well, gosh, that's almost 20 years ago. So the industry keeps advancing. They are intent on getting you obese. There's a lot of these chemicals in these foods to purposefully get you obese. That's what they want. They want you addicted to their foods and eating it to the point where you can't stop. So the caveat that I kind of want to put the emphasis on is it's like, we shame people for the shape that they're in and their laziness and all this stuff. Yet we have this $1 trillion industry shoving them down into the ground, not giving them a chance. Like, here's your choice between poisons. I feel like more and more in the United States, like I can't go in a grocery store anymore, Josh. Like every time I go in, it's like I get angry. I feel like I'm just as Karen wanting to throw all this stuff off the shelf. And it's like, none of this stuff is healthy. And then when you're educated on what all these chemicals are, it's just it's exasperating. So where do you start with these folks that say, hey, Josh, let's, and I work with patients that are 300, 400, 500 pounds sometimes. Where do you even start with them?
Well, so I'm building this little program right now. It's 4 levels. And the first level is called the 21-day fitness transformation jumpstart. And there's 3 steps, 4 steps. There's a bonus step, but one is we're enhancing posture, because technology has us leaning over. Our chest gets molded like that. Everybody thinks that they have anxiety, but really they just can't catch their breath because they got the humpback from sitting down too much.
I miss too.
They're tech neck. Everybody's in these chairs,
it's like
seats
this
in their car, and so that's what I was doing right before this little podcast. Was I was editing my posture enhancement videos. So that's level 1, is just getting people to stretch out their chest and stand taller, breathe more fully. The second step is intestinal tract cleanliness, because the foods that we eat are so binding in the gut. Even if we started eating super clean foods, we're not going to appropriately utilize the nutrients in our gut the way that we should, because we've got poo plaque stuck on the lining of our intestinal tract. So, it's crazy. And people think I'm insane when I tell them to go get a hydrocolonic cleanse or get an enema bucket. And I know that's extreme, but at the same
not.
time, if you ever do it, you feel absolutely amazing afterwards. And you'll be surprised. I know this is gross, but you'll be surprised what comes out of you. I do it twice a week, and I'm eating clean, and I'm just like, wow, like that was in me, and that's terrible. Like that's so posture enhancement, cleaning out the guts, and then prioritizing animal proteins, just because I mean protein helps you build muscle. Muscle is the engine of your body, and makes you more resilient, makes you more confident, makes you more tough, strong. And then the bonus step, it's the get up, and daily movement. And the get up is basically the burpee, but I call it the get up because CrossFit has demonized the burpee. And the get up is more skill based. It's for all fitness levels. You got to do it every single day. It's the 1 minute challenge. You get down on the ground, chest has to touch the ground, and then you get right back up. And if you do that for 1 minute a day, you're not going to have any problem if you fall down getting back up. And old people, young people, and the better that you get, the more in shape that you're going to be. And then because a lot of old folks, they fall down, they can't get up. A lot of folks, they can't move their body. So you'd be surprised. You get down on the ground and get up 5, 6 times. If you're in good shape, 10 times, you're winded.
Yeah.
And you're not even moving fast. So, and it's cardio, it's mobility, it's strength, it's proprioception. It's very somatic based, mind, body. You have to consciously, you don't want to bust your mouth on the ground, so it's all these things. And that's the first level. You do it over 21 days. And I've trained so many people, and that's what I start them out with. It doesn't matter their goal. It's just, because most people that come to me, they're not looking to be on stage. Like I'm not that kind of coach. Like but beginners, people that are looking to get back, we got to start them out with those incremental wins, and then they're building confidence. They're like, okay, I can do this. These are such simple action items, and I feel great afterwards. It's not beating me down.
Yeah.
They're ready to go for the next level. So
that I want to put a bunch of follow-ups on this. So first, the get up, like what I've learned for men, especially, like when you stand up and you're in a masculine posture, you increase your testosterone anyway. I see a lot of, I call them beta males. I live in the Pacific, or I used to live in the Pacific Northwest. I live in the Bay Area now, but there's a lot of beta males, and most of the time you'll just see, instead of the sit up straight, it's this, and that reduces your testosterone, and it reduces your lung capacity, and all your organs are then cramped together, so that you need the blood flow into your organs also. Like everything's got to
absolutely
flow with that heart rate. And then the enemas. So as an RN, the check with your doctor first, of course. Don't listen to anything they say if it's negative, because I have to tell you to check with your doctor first, but it is a sick-based system, so that you go in and they will usually tell you things to do that are not good for your health. But be very cautious when doing your own enemas. Go slow at first. I like to add in, I would say also, it's very popular to put in coffee. The more I learn about coffee, I used to do the coffee enemas, and I would say maybe hold off on those, because the caffeine and the coffee, and there's fungus and molds on the coffee bean. So you don't want to harm yourself. And I don't think that the coffee is necessarily going to make or break it, but like diatomaceous earth or bentonite clay, or things that are soothing, or aloe vera, or even a teaspoon of dirt from some pristine soil can replenish all those microbiomes, if you don't want to take a teaspoon of it when you're out hiking, which is, I'll do that sometimes too, just take a teaspoon of it. And then I want to ask you about animal protein, because if you look at the climate around it is now going towards anti-meat and telling people to eat crickets and bugs. And what's your take on that? And what sources of animal protein do you recommend?
I personally, I'm a red meat advocate. And really and truly, if you watch the news and you are a fan of the machine, you're into politics and things of that nature. I've always seen, what was going on with the news, and like Taylor Swift was doing this, and all of a sudden this bill got passed, and like it's just, we go down the rabbit hole with that, but
it's a theater.
It's a theater, right? And if you're into, and I love sports, but at the same time, the big games, laws and bills get passed around that, and just things are missing money, and so the whole let's eat crickets song and dance, there's going to be folks that believe in that, and I follow all these meat advocates and whatnot, but that Beyond Meat stuff, it's not making any money whatsoever. Like it's rotting on the shelves in the grocery store. Nobody wants to eat that. Dogs won't eat it.
No.
My mom is an extreme couponer. I've got a pit bull that, well, he loves grandma's homemade biscuits. He eats good. And mom couponed and got some of that Beyond Meat stuff. And I went back to the farm and I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, we're going to try it. And they were going to give it to Mace, my dog. And Mace just turned up his nose because Mace knows what good food is.
Yeah.
So
it's got, even, first of all, my one rule is you don't mess with Mother Nature. Right. And I always tell my patients, if it grew out of the ground, fell out of a tree, or walked around, you can eat it. Mm-hmm. But, we've adulterated it so much, and now they're growing lab meat, which is completely interfering with Mother Nature, and they're growing human lab meat for sale, to eat. But we're not meant to eat crickets. They've got the outer layer, that chitin on their shells that we don't digest. So, if you're starving, that's a viable option. But again, cow farts are not causing all of our problems on the planet.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to be real hungry to eat some bugs, which I'm not ruling it out. I might be in that spot one day, but it's not going to be my go-to.
Especially day after day after day. And how are they, they've got these giant bug farms now. That doesn't seem very healthy to have these bugs indoors, just making them without, bugs in the wild, they're going to collect pollen and have different, aspects of food that creates them. When they're grown in a lab, they're grown with chemicals and all sorts of gnarly things.
Yeah, and you just have to look who you're taking your advice from. If somebody looks in really good shape and they look healthy, well, then maybe they've got something good to say.
Yeah.
But if they own the company and they don't look that great, and they're like, you should eat this, and they're writing the laws, and you should probably not listen to them. So
yeah, that's a really good point. If always trust your gut. But what about, some people just want wild hunted meat versus grass-fed, grass-finished versus what's on sale down at the supermarket.
So you've got a hierarchy of you have the best of the best, and then you've got the lowest of the better for you options. And really and truly, it's what can you afford? What's available to you? Now, if you can go get the wild caught, shot with an arrow and prayed over, and then yes, go do it.
Yeah.
Where I am, Destin, Florida. Now there's a lot of money down here, and I could get elk flown in from Colorado if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But really and truly, there's Publix supermarket right down the street. I get some grass-fed meat, beef, and I eat that. A lot of times I get the hamburger meat that's on sale.
Yeah.
They're probably pumped with some antibiotics but right now I boil my hamburger meat. I get all the fat out, which the toxins, and the antibiotics are held in the fat.
Oh.
So if you get the fat out, then you can eat avocado with it, or you can put some avocado oil or coconut oil.
That's really smart. Yeah, I didn't think
Yeah.
about that. That's
Yeah.
exactly where toxins are stored, because when you eat toxins, the body, whether you're an animal or a human animal, you surround it with a lipid layer and then store it in the fat, especially if it's constantly being infiltrated. But so how much of this protein are you eating? Does it depend on your goals? So like for me, it would be different than you.
Well, we're different sizes, but I say, and a lot of your protein advocates, doctors, they'll say 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight or goal body weight. And traditional, dogma of the 1990s, early 2000s, they'll be like, oh, that'll ruin your kidneys. But there's been scientific studies where people are eating 3 grams of protein per pound of body weight, and it was tough for them to do that. 200-pound man eats 600 grams of protein of whole foods. That's a tremendous amount of protein, but didn't have any kidney failure. So again, that's just that's a doctor that has studied in the books, and they're pushing the pills, and they're just trying to scare you away from. And again, check with your doctor to make sure
we're not
it's okay
giving
that you do this stuff. But
put our hands up. We're not giving you medical advice.
yeah,
My
no medical
opinion.
advice here.
Yeah.
But you're not going to ruin your body by eating too much protein. Like you're not going to do it. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
You may explode, but
and if you go around, well, exactly. And if you go around with me and just see the train wrecks that I work with on a daily basis, they're eating primarily packaged foods.
Mm-hmm.
So primarily fast food or Franken foods, things that were never meant to be placed in the human body. So the other thing is listen to your body and listen to what your body's craving. If you're in a pure state, your body will know how much protein to eat just to maintain. And then if you want to do, bodybuilding, then you're going to obviously require more protein.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think a protein-based diet definitely, for your show, your listeners, more so counting the chemicals first, looking at the packages when they do buy something in packages, looking at the chemicals first.
Yeah.
And then the protein contents, absolutely. But I think a protein-based diet is the way to go for just about everyone, because everyone needs to put muscle on.
Yeah.
And because it's just the driver of longevity. And
a lot of men end up very sick or even get hospitalized when they go on these vegan diets with their girlfriends or their wives, put them on these vegan diets, or they read about it and they go on it themselves. They'll end up getting very, very sick. And women also, that's what we don't talk about. Women lose their mammary glands, their breast tissue, they stop having a period. Men lose testosterone. So, say what you will, ethically, that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about what our human body was designed to eat. And you can do it. Like I get here in the Bay Area, I get friends together and we just go in on a beef.
Nice.
Out in that's grass, pasture raised. You get to see the animals and how they live. And so, and it's about the same that I would get for supermarket meat. Excellent.
Yeah, online I've seen a lot of farms out in California that are selling cows at really great prices. Around here, not so much, but I can go find it. But right now I'm just focused on building this online community and doing the best I can with what I have. And then when because when we're working towards something, we're working away from other things. We can only focus on one thing at the time, maybe two tops. But if we're really giving our all, you got to focus in on one thing and go for it. And right now I'm just maintaining a decent physique, decent health, and really building this community so I can help others level up. And then I'll get back on my just tear of just trying to be as jacked and healthy as possible. So I can't wait to get back to it, but I gotta complete this mission first.
It's a lot. Yeah. I try to fit everything in too,
It's overwhelming.
I got my 16-year-old son. I got my 3 jobs. I'm a avid kite surfer, and it's super windy right now, which is just killing me silently inside. wanting to go out there kite surf. But I really appreciate your point about setting this up so people don't quit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going after just that level one, so that whatever it is, you can find your healthy way to continue and get at least just to see progress. And that was the other thing I want to ask you, like, when should people, let's say they're like, hey, Josh, I want to sign up, I want to do your level one. You know, when should they expect to see progress, and when should they kind of go back to the drawing board and shuffle things around if they're not making progress?
Well, one is you should see progress after about 3 weeks. If you really get after it and you do what you're supposed to do, which it's very simple to implement in your everyday life. I'm not saying you got to go to the gym every day, you know, just buy some protein when you go to the grocery store. And there are steps before you go get colonics. You can do additional fibers from green vegetables. You can buy bulk fiber and psyllium husk and things like that. But so it doesn't have to be so extreme with the cleanliness. But yeah, I say that 21 days, you should, if you're halfway out of shape, you should see, you'll look 10 pounds slimmer and feel 10 pounds younger in 21 days. That's my tagline. I've seen it happen dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And everybody's different. So I think that everybody should be on the first level for 21 days. It may take someone 2 months on the first level to really internalize it. And they're like, okay, I'm going through a lot right now, but I just want to implement these first 3 steps. And then after I get through this time in my life where I've really, really dialed in these 3 steps, then I'll move forth. Too often, these fitness coaches, they want to push someone through a 12-week program, and like all of a sudden 12-week transformation, bam, you're the best. Maybe it takes 6 weeks. Maybe it takes 25 weeks. Who knows? Who cares? It's
Right.
it's all about you, your feeling, and where you are in life. Because just like in my circumstance, I'm building this community. I can't focus on transform my body any more than I already have. Like I don't have the mental capacity. I don't have the time to put again. It does take time. It takes effort. So yeah 21 days is standard for that first level. But really and truly, it's just how comfortable you are with the steps, and is it just like second nature to you?
Right.
Once it's second nature to you, then it's time to move on.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And so, because I always like to tell people, you know, when you're trying programs, if you're not seeing results, you know, even just small incremental results, you got to figure out like if maybe you're doing something wrong. So my son, like I had mentioned, he's 16 and wanted to just build. Mm-hmm. And, you know, was into bulking and dirty bulking and, you know, eating all this crap food. But he wasn't making any progress. And he was at the gym every single day and doing all of these reps. And I said, you know, let's go back to the drawing board because you're not seeing progress. And he was doing it for a long time, months. And not progressing in his weight. And so I said, why don't you do lower reps and start eating more and having more rest days? And now we're starting to see major gains. So that's what I was trying to ask is like, you know, when do we say, stop, something's not working here?
Well, a lot of times people get so motivated, they think they have to go work out every single day. And it is good to be physical every single day. But when you're trying to build, and especially strength, as a man and put on muscle mass, like you might not necessarily need to hit the gym every single day. And if you do hit the gym every day, you've got to do different things. So really and truly, it's more about intensity in the workout and then the calories that you put in.
Right.
And it's not necessarily showing up to the gym every single day and just dogging yourself out, because if you just dog yourself out over and over and over, then you never actually have the opportunity to build. You're just tearing your body down. And a lot of times we undereat.
Yeah.
People aren't eating near enough. When I started my whole transformation fat loss deal about 3 months ago, and I actually started eating the amount of food that I was supposed to eat, I was eating 5 pounds of food a day. Chicken, wow, rice, avocado, and squash. And wow, 5 pounds of food is a tremendous amount. And I got pretty lean from 220 to 215. And yeah, I mean, I gained some muscle mass. I lost a bunch of fat, and I was sick of eating.
Right.
Like, so a lot of folks are just under eating and overworking themselves, and they're not prioritizing rest.
Yeah.
And in prioritizing rest, that's in level 2 of my program, really figuring out, how much you're actually resting.
Oh,
We go
okay.
through some durability training with mobility and proprioception type training, balance, and yeah, it's pretty neat. It's kind of what fighters would do to prep their bodies for putting themselves in weird positions. But it's strength based, but it's also mobility, and it opens up your body, works those little muscles. And again, you can work really, really hard doing this stuff, but it energizes you. It doesn't beat you down. So you go into the gym, you go into CrossFit, you go do the workout, and you can't walk for 3 or 4 days. Well, how is that good for you?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
what if you have to run tomorrow? Like, what if you have to run from a bear?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So my whole thing is, yes, there's a time and place where you have to get after it. You're going to beat down, but it's really about just feeling good after the workout, staying well rested, staying well nourished, doing things that challenge you, but not necessarily just test your limits. There's a time and place for that, but you got to feel good about the process, and it's incremental gains. So I tell you what to look at, and then, remember yourself when you started, and then you're here, even though you might not necessarily be making gains to the outside world, which your body will be changing. But when you see what I'm telling you to look at, then you're like, oh, this is way better than it was before. Because if you can only stand on one foot for 5 seconds, then all of a sudden you can stand on your foot for 20 seconds after a week. Well, then you've done a tremendous job. Like, you're 4 times stronger in that department. So
Yeah.
And
I think
balance.
that's so important too, so let's say, you've got your person, they've done their level 1, it's now second nature. So then they go into level 2. Is that another 4-step process?
Yeah, there's a few steps. So I developed a style of training called strength flow, and it's animalistic flow, mobility style training, a lot of moving in ways that you don't normally move. You're going to enhance your proprioception, which is your body's feeling through space.
Yeah.
You're going to increase your balance, and you're going to increase your mobility, your range of motion. So, and then we're going to be really documenting. Then we go into documentation of what you're currently doing, what you're eating. Because on the first level, we implemented animal proteins. And then you're just going to start to be more self-aware of what your habits are. And I'm not necessarily telling you to change any habits right now, implement these things in these new steps in your life, but maybe start identifying where your pitfalls are. And then you're just documenting them every day, because it's more about self-awareness than anything. So I can give you all these action items to do, but if you're reverting back to the old ways, you're diving into devices and those things that make you take 3 back steps, then, well, you're not really going to get that far ahead if you keep taking the back steps. So strength flow, and then the documentation. I talk a little bit about salts, good sea salts, and how good it is for your nervous system, and just, and then increasing your water intake.
Right.
Yeah. And then, looking at the chemicals. That was the second level is identifying the quality of foods that you eat. So yeah, that's the second level.
Yeah. And I think especially now, getting the colonics in and cleansing, because even if you're like me and I grow my own food in my backyard and, go to the farmer's market, I still feel like no matter what, we're inundated. Excuse me. Throat. No matter what, we're inundated with chemicals. And so we have to continually do all that we can to get them out of our bodies. So what do you do then with your clients to work on the mental aspect of it?
Well, the mindset is the foundation of everything. And we're a composition of the stories that we tell ourselves. So we are in the in level 2, it's all about self-awareness and documentation. So I tell you to get a journal. I'm huge on journaling. And not only are you identifying your habits, but I really need people to document the stories that they tell themselves. Because if you tell yourself, hey, I've always been this fat, out of shape person that's never stuck to a diet, then, well, that's all you'll ever be, because you wake up and you tell yourself that every single day. You're proclaiming your identity to the world within yourself. And if you tell yourself that, well, your subconscious is the ultimate scorekeeper. So you have to talk good about yourself. And instead of saying, I'm going to do these things, or I will do these things, you say, I am doing these things. You own it, because then if you actually own it, then it'll be attracted to you. Mm-hmm. So, and there's a little breakdown, because if you want to achieve something, like you want to be compensated, well, you have to achieve that compensation, right? And before you get to that achievement, well, you have to do the things to get that achievement. And then before you do the doing, then you have to be the person that can do the action items to get the compensation. And then before you be the person, you have to act as if.
Yes.
Right. So it's act as if, be, do, achieve, compensation. So yeah, and I hate the phrase "fake it till you make it," and imposter.
It works though.
But yeah, you have to do the things that make up the person you want to be. So it's just start doing the stuff.
Start doing the stuff, and you know, to that point, I would tell patients. I worked with this physician who wanted me to run a weight loss clinic, and they were getting gastric bypass surgery, so they did not want to lose weight. So they hated coming to see me, but they had to. It was a requirement. So all I had them do was change their mantra. Instead of "I'm so fat," I'm disgusting, I would say, I want you to just say something positive about yourself. I'm beautiful. I'm healthy. I'm getting, I'm actualizing my dreams, and then sing it like a jingle on a commercial. So it just stuck in your head. And all of them, Josh, started losing weight.
Nice.
And that's the only thing they did. because that is exactly what happens. Like, I truly believe our bodies reflect what we believe about our bodies. Because when you think about it, I mean, if you know how they measure calories, kcalories and kilowatt joules and all of that, nonsense. It's nonsense. So counting calories and fat and carbs, like, I think it just gets into our mindset, like, okay, I'm on it now, and I'm going to fuel my body. But when we like extricate from all of that, and you're just fueling based on your intuition and what your body needs are, you're in harmony. Look at wild animals. Do you see like some fat zebras and some ripped zebras? And no, across the board, they're all pretty, ripped, lean, in their element, because it's just natural. They're not thinking about calories and weight body shaming and all this other stuff.
There's a certain point where you need to start measuring things, but that's when you're going into bodybuilding competition, when you really have to dial it in. And that is in level 4, when you start measuring your foods and you're manipulating things. But again, level 4 is all about learning the gym and learning how to lift. And then if you want to really change your body in different ways, but you can be absolutely in amazing shape and never count your calories. Like, that's not a requirement. So
I think, for competition, for my son, it's just getting him to eat as much as he possibly can eat. And I've noticed a huge difference in that. And then when you've hit, the fruition cap on that, then you work another level and you work another system that is going to work for you. So you have 4 levels to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've gone over level 2, and I didn't mention, I did a little bit, but the rest and decompression in level 2, because you gotta sleep. We're in this grind mode all the time. You know, people, Instagram, social media, they're all about grinding, right? Well, you're not really your best self when you're grinding. There's times where you got to dial it up, but you gotta sleep enough if you really want those physical gains. You gotta sleep, and it's so good for your mind and the processing of traumas and knowledge. And there's no bad things that come along with sleep. So adequate sleep. Now, level 3, it's GPP, general physical preparedness. And so Louis Simmons, he was a powerlifting coach up in Ohio. He coached like 70 world record holders. And GPP, this isn't powerlifting, but it's dialing it up a notch, the intensity and general physical preparedness. Now, when you go into the gym, it's more so special strength and you're training for a specific goal, but general physical preparedness, things like carries, like you're carrying weighted items, you're sprinting on a bike, because you're building your cardiovascular base. You're doing things like get-ups, and get-ups, it's the foundation of life, but just things that make you in better shape generally. Pulling a sled, body weight exercise, and the bench press, squats, things like that. That's stuff that you do in the gym. But yeah, general physical preparedness, a lot of carries, a lot of moving your body around, sprinting, things of that nature. Hops, because you got to stay pliable, you got to stay bouncy to be athletic. And the reason why, if you drop a baby, they bounce for the most part, not like a basketball, but they're pretty resilient. And old folks, they're resilient too, but typically when old folks fall down, they break something. It's because they don't practice that bounciness anymore.
Yeah.
And as we age, the majority of folks are like, oh, I'm getting old, I'm getting creaky, I'm hurting. But it's just because they're just stuck in those movement patterns that they know, which is mainly forward. They don't move laterally. They don't pick their arms up over their head. They don't roll around on the ground. And if people just moved in different ways, they broke that movement paradigm that they're used to. If they practice this movement practice, they'd be much more open to different concepts, and they'd be much more healthier individuals. And they would just be more well-rounded. I know that sounds awkward, but really the mind is the body is the mind. And just like the brain can regenerate itself, the body can too. I mean, obviously if we cut our arm, like, it's going to heal up, but we can go from a disempowered physical state to an empowered physical state pretty rapidly. It's just one, you got to believe it, and then 2, you got to do the things that are going to cause the stimulus for you to positively grow. So
that's so important too, because I work with people that are in their 70s, some of their 60s, 80s, and they need someone to help them get out of their chair and to take a shower and to change their diapers. That's not how you want to spend your golden years, I assure you. So now is the time to start moving your body. And that's the other mindset that you just mentioned. They say, oh, I'm getting old, I'm getting creaky, oh, this, it sucks to be old, and this is just what happens. It's not what happens. You might have to put a little more effort into it, and a little more effort into building the muscle mass. Is not as easy maybe as when you're 20, and maybe it is, who knows. But I have seen I had a 92-year-old patient I was working with that was incapacitated in a board and care, changed his diet, changed his mental attitude, and was able to go home and live to be 97, healthy and well. So that's the potential. I mean, 92. Most people just say, oh, give up, get on hospice. But it's like, no, everyone deserves a chance. Everyone deserves that potential to change their body.
And they can. And that's why I'm really making this as simple as possible in this course. And really and truly, I'm not charging for the group training. Like this, it's on Mighty Networks. It's called the Get Up Gang. And the academy, the 21-day transformation jumpstart, is going to be absolutely free. the Fit Life Academy, the 4 levels, absolutely free, because I want this information to be accessible to everyone that wants to actually make positive change. Because people go on the internet and there's just so much contradicting information out there. And then they see these Olympian type folks that are promoting this protein or whatever, and they're like, oh, I need this, but it's full of crap. Yeah. And they think that they need to start these hardcore workouts and do this and this and this, but really and truly they should be starting out at level 1, or at least, figuring out their vices. They got a lot of stuff that they need to figure out before they even start the gym.
Right.
So I've been dreaming about this for years and years and years, and I'm finally making a run at it. And I'm going to make a lot of fitness coaches mad online because I'm making this information free.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm going to charge for one-on-one because it's my time and we only have so much. But I mean, I'm not going to hold back any information. I mean, I'm not the world's smartest person, but I've trained enough people in a vast, like Grandma Ethel to, fat kid. And I can say fat kid because I was a fat kid. I've had some pro athletes sprinkled in there, and just about every different goal that you could want to achieve, I've trained them. So I can help them out. And I've just, a lot of coaches coach from methods and tactics.
Right.
But if you really want a good coach, they're going to teach you from principles. And so like level 1, cleaning out your guts, standing up taller, prioritizing animal proteins, balance training and get-ups. Those are all principles.
Right.
Like, no matter what you want to do, you're going to need to do all those things. Like you're going to need clean guts. You're going to need to have good posture. You're going to need to eat protein. You're going to need to balance. You're going to need to be able to get up off the ground. 2, like level 2, you're going to have to be mobile. You're going to need to sleep. You're going to need to eat good salt. You're going to need to journal and figure out your issues. Level 3, you need to be able to carry stuff. And level 3's also got some soft tissue mobilization, because I am a soft tissue therapist. So ridding your body of those scar tissues and whatnot from past injuries, healing yourself from injury, and then just different nutritional strategies to combat, people's habitual ways. Because I was a binge eater late at night. Whenever I'm super stressed, I would eat bad stuff. So I've just got all these different strategies to combat these addiction patterns. And that's level 3. And, level 4 is all about gym etiquette and learn the gym life and doing whatever you want to do in the gym.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I try to keep it as simple as possible, because even I've trained doctors that didn't know what to do. Like they were very, very smart in their specific field, but everybody comes in the class, they start out at a kindergarten level. They're like, what do I do here? And it's like, okay, well, I thought you were a doctor, but that doesn't mean anything. And then when my first doctor I ever trained, they came to me and they're like, what is this? And I'm like, what? And I didn't look at them funny, but I was just like, damn, that's kind of crazy. And,
and that's the person that's telling you how you should be healthy. They literally know nothing about their health, and usually they've stopped here, nothing below the neck. They don't know how the body operates as far as movement and flow and breath work and meditation and how to stay healthy. They know how to write prescriptions, and that's what they're trained to do. So just, go in, buyer beware when you go see the doctor. But also, I just wanted to just emphasize that you providing these programs for free, like I do this podcast for free. I actually, it costs me money because I really want people to know there is a question to be asked, a choice to be made. You don't have to stay sick. You don't have to stay overweight. You don't have to stay in this sick system. And it is honestly easier than you think. And I like what you've spelled out with this program, because it sounds like it's simple. Anyone can do the 21 days. If it didn't stick the first time, maybe you have a few more issues to work out, do it again. Didn't work that second, third time. Just keep doing it until it sticks. Like that's my secret to my success. I just show up, and when I show up, I do the very best that I can in that moment.
I like it. Absolutely. I agree with you there.
Yeah. So that's really cool that you're doing that. So I can refer patients and clients to you to start up on these these 4-level programs?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I want to start my son too and his 4 friends because they're into bodybuilding. But it's heartbreaking. I'm sure you see this too when people are doing something. And I saw my son going to the gym. He wasn't going to listen to me because it's just mom. But you see, it's breaking my heart. They're doing all this work and they're not seeing results. And it's like, eventually it's going to wear out. They're going to just quit and say, see, it didn't work. I told you. And they get in that negative mindset. But yeah, I really like that approach that you have. Hey, it's simple. Let's figure out. And then let's say they're on their third 21 day, then they could say, hey, Josh, can we do a one-on-one and let's figure out what's going on?
Yeah, because it's always good to test yourself and go about it and be reliant upon yourself and your energies and your own studies. But sometimes you need to seek out a mentor that's already been through the issues that you've had, or at least have worked with people that have had those issues, because having a mentor will allow you to leapfrog so many years and so many heartbreaks. You could just go get the answers, whether it costs you money or you have to befriend them or whatever. But yeah, and that's why I spend a lot of money on coaching, is because I love to study, but at the same time, in every single industry, they have their own language. But then the tops of the industry, they've got their own language from everybody else.
Right.
So you can figure out that language at the top of the tops of that industry. Oh, you're gonna rise very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to soar to the top instead of having to struggle and reinvent the wheel. That we can just say, hey, take my hand, I can get you up to this level, and then fly after that. And then send them my way. If they want to, at level 4, they want to know how to completely purify their home, their body, make their own. I'm doing a course where I'm teaching people how to make their own face creams. And because anything you put on your skin, it goes into your bloodstream. And so if you really want to get to that point, of completely being pure, because I'll tell you, Josh, when I'm off all substance now, including caffeine. I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do that, because I started drinking coffee at 10. I thought it was the best things I'd ever tasted in my life, is black coffee. So yeah, I've been off coffee and every other substance. And I'll tell you what, when you're that tapped in to your intuition, your pineal gland, your, this energy, this light within, you're unstoppable. You can do things that people would call supernatural. Your intuition is that turned on. So, and I can see why, if you want to control a population, you'd want them addicted and dependent and toxified.
Yeah, I've dropped a lot of my vices, and caffeine has had its claws in me for 20 years now. And every morning I've got a really cool coffee machine, and
I know too.
I'm like, I shouldn't be drinking this crap. And I hit my little button, my espresso pops out, and I'm like, I have my 3 double shots, and I'm like, then I'm tired by 9:30, and I'm like, man, I quit this. And then I'm drinking it again the next day.
I'm going to send you, and I'm going to challenge you. I sound like a guy that likes to challenge you to go 30 days without caffeine and put this in your journal, see how you feel. But there's a way to titrate off. I'll send you a link, but I'm going to send you Jason Christoph's 10 points about how horrible caffeine is. How it keeps you doing repetitive, meaningless, mind-numbing behaviors, but with a pep in your step. So that you're not truly pursuing what your soul's intention are. We don't have that much time here on this beautiful planet of ours. And so all of that, if you need to hire someone to clean your house so that you're not doing things that aren't really striving you to what your soul's purpose is. But caffeine, I thought, was helping me. In fact, it was detracting. And he'll point out, and there's just 10 short sentences of how it is doing that. And then if you want to go deeper, there's books on it. But challenge you to 30 days, no caffeine, see if it changes anything.
God, you're calling me out. I'm like, like,
and we're being
I
recorded.
wasn't ready to drop that vice yet, but
Yeah.
I mean, I am ready to drop it, but at the same time, that's going to be a big nemesis. I've dropped drinking cold beers over the last 3 months, and you know, it wasn't. I love beer, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it wasn't serving me anymore. And but
Exactly.
yeah, the caffeine, that's the monster in the corner of the room. That's what I'm eyeing. So
You up for
definitely
the challenge?
Oh, I'm going to take the challenge. It might not be today, but I'm definitely going to keep. I'm going to message you
Within 2023.
Within 2023. Give me 1 more month to build this Mighty
Okay.
Network deal, and then in October I'll take the challenge.
October 1st.
October 1st, I'll take the
Okay.
challenge.
All right.
Yeah.
I will hold you to that, and I'll send you all the information beforehand.
Yeah. To add to your caffeine deal, there's this little I'm on Instagram a good bit, but there was this little video of these spiders building webs, and they gave them drugs. And the caffeine one, the little guy couldn't build the web for nothing. Like it was pitiful.
Yeah.
And then, you know, some of the drugs, they were like, he was building really cool webs, but then the caffeine, I was like, wow, you think that he would have built like 2 or 3 webs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it. And I don't even feel that great when I drink caffeine anymore. Yeah. It's just, I don't even know why I do it. It's just because I just do it.
It's addictive. It's one of the most addictive substances. And like you said, it's got its claws into you. And I didn't know what it was like off of caffeine.
Yeah.
Like at all. Maybe that one time that I couldn't get it until 10 o'clock in the morning, you know, that was it. I summited Mount Baker. And you have to keep your pack super light. Well, I had a thermos of hot coffee in there because I wanted my hot coffee. I like throw the other stuff out. I don't need it, but I want my coffee at the top of the mountain. That's how addictive it is. But I thought, the question I had asked myself, what am I capable of if I'm not toxified or poisoned in any way, addicted, dependent? What am I capable of? And holy smokes, it is amazing what you're capable of and how deep I sleep now. I have 100% linen sheets too. That doesn't hurt. Nice. Yeah, but because it grounds you, and it grounds your excess EMFs and electrical energy as you're sleeping, so you can sleep more soundly. But without the caffeine, now I'm having those dreams that bring you in information to how to, better your business, how to go that next level, like coming in through the dreams. When I was so caffeinated, even though I didn't realize it, there I am, not really connecting deeply to the dreams or not remembering them.
I get it. Yeah, those stimulants, they stay in you
all right.
a long time. So yeah.
All right. So where can people find you? I bet a lot of people are going to be super inspired after hearing this podcast. I know I am. So where can they find you? And again, everyone, the links are down below to all his sites. So where do they go? Where do they start first if they want to start doing this level 1?
Well, I've just made my link tree. And if you go to thejoshparish.com, it'll go straight to my link tree. And from there, has my Instagram, my Facebook, my email, and then it'll have the link to join the Get Up Gang. So you just hit that Join Me Get Up Gang, and then it'll take you to the Mighty Networks community, and I'll let you in. So
there you go. Oh, awesome. Yeah. And what can somebody start doing today? 3 simple things they can start doing today to get towards that level 4.
Well, one, buy a pedometer, that tracks your steps, because moving every single day, it's neat to keep score of how many steps you take in a day. And 10,000 is that threshold of what you should be doing. I like 15,000. It just makes you really, really active. So buy a pedometer, keep score there, and then start eating more animal proteins, and then get on the ground and get back up. Yeah. I know it sounds way too simple, but literally that exercise, it'll get you in really good shape really quickly. So, all
right, I'm going to do that. As soon as I turn this off, I'm going to do it looks like the wind has stopped. So I'm going to do those, get on the ground. I'm going to see if I can do 15 as fast as I can. But thank you so much for your wisdom, for inspiring, for creating these programs that make it accessible to all of us. Like, I really appreciate people that do that. So thank you for your time, Josh Parish. And again, everyone, if you're inspired like I am, click on those links below.
Thanks for having me.